Hey Vainglorians, this is Broken Myth. To kick off the autumn season, Vainglory Update 2.8 comes packed with core features to brighten your experience. At a glance, we're seeing 4 new hero skins, 2 new items, an overhauled jungle meta, ranked improvements, and fresh balance changes for your favorite heroes and items. Let's get started with heroes. This new batch of skins begins with King Glaive. King Glaive represents his kingdom with imperial visual effects and a magnate model to fit the theme. In this epic skin, Glaive is still pretty blind, but ready to punt any carry back to base. Only if he wasn't too cowardly to do so. Sitting right at the top of the food and people chain, the King of Githia dethrones Lance to rocket him and his Queen Battle Axe around the fold. The Caro Ringo is a rare skin that features a redesigned look, the all-new model sporting a Graingor belt buckle, rimfire revolver, wicker jug, and much more makes up for the lack of animation changes in special effects. Be careful when traversing through the Wild West of the fold. The final skin for Ice purchase is Horus Idris. This epic skin comes loaded with model changes ranging from a pharaoh's headdress and golden spear, to a jeweled belt and tech face mask. Additionally, Horus Idris swoops into the spotlight with a new winged and jeweled chakram animation and a sapphire blue dash effect. And last but not least, Bakudo Finn. This skin is quite different from the others in 2 ways. First, Bakudo Finn comes packed with an all-new model as well as animation changes from head to toe. This includes a blue atomic pulse, sound effects, and his companion Susie disguised as a moth. This also marks the return of special edition skins, so Bakudo Finn becomes available for Opal purchase next month, but is obtainable through Ice today. In addition to the shiny new skins, comes a bundle of hero changes as well. With careful precision, some players were able to skip over purchasing energy items on Adagio. However, this was not his intended playstyle. To correct this, his energy regeneration from burning targets has been reduced. During the past few updates, all healers have reigned supreme in the captain seat, but Adagio in particular was able to act as both a healer and a viable carry within a single item build. To remedy this situation, the cooldown on Gift of Fire has been increased at ranks 1 through 4. Alpha has been struggling in the jungle, especially against heroes that are tanky, bursty, or mobile. While her Crystal Path remains a strong pick in specific situations, Weapon Alpha was nearly non-existent. To increase the viability of weapon builds, Alpha has been disassembled and reshipped with a higher weapon ratio on her core charge. Even though Baptiste's heroic perk empowers his basic attack damage, weapon builds haven't seen much gameplay since his release. To encourage more varied itemization, the basic attack damage from Reap has been increased. On the contrary, Baptiste's Crystal Path felt a bit too strong. Previously, Baptiste reached a huge power spike upon completing an early Shatter Glass. This power spike was magnified further when paired with a heavy crowd control captain like Catherine. To help balance this, the crystal ratio on Bad Mojo has been slightly decreased to give enemy heroes a chance to make a decision before staring death in the face. With the recent changes to Catherine, she was able to continuously activate Merciless Pursuit with the only limit being her cooldown. Now, players must plan how they use this ability more wisely as the energy cost has been increased at all ranks. Catherine has seen much success in chaining her silence and stuns together to create a devastating effect. To reduce the frequency of such combos, Blast Tremor is seeing a 10-second cooldown increase across the board. In both the lane and the jungle, Celeste's poke damage was just too high. By layering stars side by side coupled with Frostburn, Celeste was able to explode many planets in your face to the point of no return. The damage of Heliogenesis' initial impact and Supernova have been reduced a fair amount at ranks 1 through 4. In the previous update, captains began to build Grace with Tension Bow for the added damage in conjunction with her second basic attack and on-hit A ability. Weapon Power Jungle Grace also saw an influx in play. These builds now get off to a slower start with a decrease in her overall base weapon power stat. What makes Grace so powerful is the massive heal from her Divine Intervention ultimate. When purchasing cooldown items, this ability's cooldown was a little too fast, so the cooldown on Grace's ultimate has been increased at later ranks. Grumpjaw has recently fallen out of line but refuses to go back to the kennel. To start, the damage of Hangry has been increased at all levels. The duration of buff damage on this ability has also been elongated to provide Grumpjaw with more nom-nom time. In the lane, this Sand Ninja was able to pop out from the dunes at any point and slash his target to the grave. For both crystal and weapon builds, Chakram felt overwhelming to play around, especially for short-range heroes attempting to engage Idris. Chakram's damage has been lowered at all levels to allow for more breathing room, but the damage scaling from his weapon and crystal ratios remain the same. For several updates, Crystal Kestrel would begin a match with her heart set on a huge power spike that comes from completing her first Shatter Glass. This damage propelled her through the early game, and continued by purchasing Broken Myth and Clockwork later on. So, Glimmershot's crystal ratio has been lowered by 20%. While this may not change your favorite build, keep in mind you won't be dealing as much damage with her arrows. Krull has seen a number of buffs in recent updates, and the previous patch put him at a tipping point. Although he is the king of duels, players found him as a counter to a large chunk of heroes. At all levels, the barrier on Dead Man's Rush has been decreased to take away some of his survivability. To complete the trilogy of changes for healers, the cooldown on Lyra's Imperial Sigil has been increased by a fair amount at ranks 1 through 4. In the early stages of the match, you may want to consider reserving its cooldown for healing teammates. Unfortunately, Reza didn't receive any of his new hero genetics from Lyra. He often found himself too deep into the fray and was plowed down before he could react. Reza's base health has seen a significant increase to allow him to poke for much longer intervals. In the previous patch, Scarf was a dominant force in the jungle and could also hold his own in the lane. The burn damage on his heroic perk has been watered down a bit, giving melee heroes a better chance to fight back. Most of Scarf's success comes from his flagship ability, Spitfire. Players were often melted down before they could even reach Scarf. As treatment, Spitfire is seeing a slight cooldown increase along with a crystal ratio reduction. Enemy heroes also struggled to escape his flaming mud puddles. The damage per second on Goop has been decreased, with the change being more significant at earlier ranks. Scarf players should consider overdriving this ability if they wish for the damage output to remain the same as before. In Update 2.7, Skye saw big changes which put more focus on her lock-on and less on a face full of barrage. Her forward barrage lock-on bonus damage is now receiving a slight increase. Before, Skye dealt more damage in the late game than previous patches. Now she'll be dealing even more damage and earlier on. A few items are also seeing some balance changes which center around battle readiness. Traditionally, Book of Eulogies and Barbed Needle have kept weapon laners consistently topped off in lane, especially melee heroes. Part of this safeness is being stripped away now, however. On both the Book and Needle, the amount of health regained upon killing a minion has been heavily reduced for melee and ranged. For Book of Eulogies, a small lifesteal bonus has been added. By reducing the sustain of weapon laners, this may allow crystal laners to make a resurgence. Fountain of Renewal also contributes to players frequently being ready for an ambush with no burden. In order to promote intensified timing, Fountain's cooldown has been heavily increased, thus making the timing of Fountain's activation much more strategic. Junglers may even consider assisting their captain by purchasing an extra Fountain for the team. The second part of Battle Readiness comes with two new items, the first being Healing Flask. Halcyon potions are being removed and replaced by Healing Flask, which on activation provides a small barrier and restores a large portion of your health and energy. In turn, implementing Healing Flask will compel players to be more resourceful in life-threatening decisions. Spell Sword is the second new item, which allows weapon carries to sustain their energy through fights and decrease their cooldown timers without sacrificing an additional item slot. Spell Sword has a unique functionality which restores energy every time you basic attack. We found Spell Sword to be a successful pick when purchased for the heroes shown. In recent updates, carries were babysat in their home territory throughout the early game. Now laners have to hold their own hand, while captains are incentivized to focus more on the jungle. Let's take a look at a few of the jungle changes in 2.8. As mentioned, there's now much more motivation for the captain and jungler to roam the jungle together. Lane minion ambient gold has been decreased, while jungle objective and monster ambient gold has been increased. Our friend the Gold Miner is also seeing changes to instate more lethality. His health has been bulked up a bit, while his damage has been decreased, with the addition of a slow effect on targets he hits. Lastly, the Gold Miner's max gold payout is seeing a 100 gold increase. Crystal Sentries are also receiving tuning. Their damage per hit has been decreased, but with that, they are also receiving an attack speed increase. Their attacks will also apply a slow effect to their targets just like the Gold Miner, and lastly, the Sentry's area of protection has been drastically lowered to allow for more opportunities to branch into opposing territory. Finally, to cement the changes of the autumn season, ranked play has received a number of improvements and additions. Just like in the summer season, your visual tier has been soft reset. Furthermore, all players' ranked visual tiers have been decreased by approximately 20%. Now keep in mind that this is a soft reset percentage that is based off of your matchmaker rating, which is a hidden algorithm used to match you in different game modes, including ranked. players that have experienced major ranked decay may have a smaller reset, and few may even see an increase in their visual tier. By doing so, your visual progress will become a more accurate representation of your true skill over time. We've all experienced matches where one player was way above or below our skill tier. Most of the time, this was because two players with drastically different skill tiers were in a party together. This horror has been taken away and a new rule has been instated. You can no longer enter ranked queue as a party if your total skill tier is greater than one tier apart. This goes for above and below and also takes into account bronze, silver, and gold sub-tiers. And that's the update. We recommend you check out the official Vainglory 2.8 update notes linked in the description for a complete listing of all changes. But wait! Want to win one of those super special shiny skins? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and comment below with your in-game name and favorite 2.8 skin for a chance to win. For the best Vainglory news, strategy, and analysis, visit brokenmyth.net, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the fold.